Jam those hands together. Jam those hands together. It's our esteemed honor, ma, to have you here this morning.
Thank you. Thank you. Please have your seat. Thank you so much. I'm grateful for Dr. Akinpelu, who invited me. Thank you very much for all the guests in the house, and thank you to all the students putting all this together. It's never easy gathering people together. Before I go on to what I'm here to say, I didn't bring 10 books for women. I brought 10 books for students. Because the book is called Queen of Talk TV, it doesn't mean it's for women. It's a book that talks on leadership, strength, resilience, and anyone can learn from it. Interestingly, quite a number of men have read my book and have been inspired by these stories. I'm going to be sharing some of those stories here this afternoon. So it's not a book for women. So please, when you see Queen of Talk to Me, it doesn't mean that it's all for women. It's important for me to make that correction. Okay, so I plan to share with you 4 stories of my life here. And the reason why I chose those 4 stories is because I think you may be able to relate with my background, my history, the experiences I've had, and hopefully you can learn a few things from it. So the first story I'll be sharing with you is a story of my background, a bit of story of how I was raised, because I'm in a private Nigerian university here, and I'm sure many of you are from probably similar background as I was. Unfortunately, I tell people I don't have those sad tale stories of, you grew up without your parents, you went from foster home, you were by yourself, you slept in a garage. I don't have those nice fun stories. I would say I was fairly born and raised in a privileged background. I went to Corona Primary and Corona Secondary School. Then I moved on. I was born in a polygamous home. My mother was the first wife, and that always comes with its own drama. And I have 3 brothers. Unfortunately, all of them left the country when I was like 3 years old. I came 12 years after they were born. So I was like the only child in my house. So they left, because by the time I was like 3 years old, they were already getting to the point where they were moving on. So they left, and I was raised alone as an only child. I had my half-sister and half-brother. They used to live in Isolo. I lived in Bagada. It was a very lonely childhood. And the reason why I'm sharing some of this, of my really elementary stories, because some of you also may be going through that, where you were raised alone. You feel like the world is against you. It was you, yourself, and you against the world. I was in that shoe, where it's like everybody just abandoned me. My brothers were not around. I was raised almost like an only child. My mother, unfortunately, because we're from a polygamous family, my mother at the time was struggling for her marriage. Many of us have that story where our mothers and our fathers are not in good terms, dramas happening in the house. So my mother kind of faced her business 100% and didn't really focus on me. All she did was provide me money. School fees, everything paid, clothes, shoes, everything I needed was done. But that connection, I didn't have it because she was focusing on her business. So I felt very lonely as a child. I didn't have any best friends. I didn't have anybody to talk to. And it was a really tough time. Then I had a half-sister, but they lived far away. Now, I lived in Bagada, they lived in Isolo. Now, what that means is that my father is a polygamist, right? He has 2 wives. So Mondays to Thursday, he's in my house. Friday to Sunday, he goes to my stepmother's house. So on Fridays, I always beg him to carry me along with him. So at least go and see my half-sister and half-brother. But when I go there, it's not always fun. There's always those kind of, the dramas that happen when you go to those kind of places. But the point I'm trying to make with giving you that background story is that it was a lonely childhood. And in that loneliness, I had to find myself. It was a tough time. I used to cry myself to sleep. My best friends were the the hangers. You know those clothes that you hang on the hangers when the washman finish washing clothes. I used to talk to them because my mother would lock the door downstairs because she has gone to work. So when I come back from school, it's only in the living room. And living room, the television also come on until 4 p.m. So you are just roaming about dining table to outside. Anyways, I didn't have any friends and I didn't have anybody to talk to. So growing up was a very lonely period for me. And the only dreams I had was dreams to go and see my brothers. I knew I had brothers. I had never seen them before in my eyes. I met my brothers for the first time when I was 15, when I eventually went over there to meet them for the very first time. And when I saw them, I was crying. You would think they would hug me. No, they went to hug my older sister. That's a different story. They went to go hug somebody else. They didn't even recognize me. They're even looking for me. Where's the Morayo girl? So that was her in front. Oh, really? You know, it was that bad. I can never forget. But one of the reasons why my background was important is to connect with those of you who feel lonely, feel that nobody understands you, because my parents didn't understand me. They were I came 12 years after they finished having children. So the way they were thinking is different from how I was thinking. So I needed a companion. I needed something. And that led me to a lot of things. First, in Nigeria, it led me to God. Because when you are sometimes pushed to the wall, when you are pushed to the wall, it's only God that is always there. And many of you probably here are very close to God because that's your best friend. But unfortunately for me, when I now crossed over to the US, as I entered America like this, freedom, free at last, all the godness disappeared. I went far left. In fact, I didn't even go far left immediately. I got into a car accident. I'm showing you my background. I'm still going to go to my career because you need to understand where I'm coming from, to understand where I am and where I'm heading to. So when I got to the US, after my loneliness, how lonely I was in Nigeria, I came to the US and I thought I had brothers who were going to receive me. I didn't get that reception from them. I still felt alone. And it took me through a lot of depression. I was depressed many years. I was sad. I felt nobody understood me, even when I was living in a different country. Then something happened. For those of you that read my book, you get all the stories. I got into a car accident in the US. Now, this car accident was so bad. So even when I was going through a downtown in my life, the car accident took me further. I would never forget that day. I was driving, my dad was in New York. I was driving, my dad was going back to Nigeria, and I was going to go and see him to wave him by before he goes to Nigeria. And I was in a Wrangler. The Wrangler has his rooftop down, for those that know it, and we hung on a tree. The guy fell off. I was still on that tree. Of course, they called 911. The ambulances came. They couldn't reach me. They called for the helicopter. Helicopter from Rutgers University Hospital flew in, cut me open from the tree, pulled me into the helicopter. They lost me twice in the helicopter, but revived me. And I was in coma for 5 days. I had a skull fracture from here all the way to the middle of my head, opened up. My entire right leg, between here, I still have a hole here, crushed. They had to flush out the bone. And I have 2 screws on my hips, 2 screws on my knee. I have a metal on my ankle because, but that one even came later because it was after I started walking. They realized that there's a problem because I was on a wheelchair for 4 months. I was boot for the whole thing was about 8 months. It was when I started walking and I realized that this ankle, there's a problem there. Now I have to take me back to X-ray and then redo it. During that period is when I found my life back. I knew God saved my life for a reason. You can't go through that kind of accident and God do not have a purpose for you. So I had to wake up from all the depression I was carrying along with my life and face God squarely. Oga, why did you save my life? There's no way. Sorry, does that song mean I'm running out of time? Does that song mean I should wrap up? I'm not sure because it can be, okay, it doesn't mean that. Okay. I need to know how many minutes I have. So, after that accident, that's when I had to go and sit down and ask God, what exactly did you create me for? What's my purpose in life? It was then I started having a soul search. So sometimes when we are going through things in your life, it's all because God wants us to search internally and find what assignment He has given to us. That experience woke me up from my slumber, woke me up from my pity party, woke me up from saying, oh, it is them. I'm pretty distracted now with the song. It was that season that woke me up, and I made the decision to come back to Nigeria. I knew I couldn't stay in the US. Stay in America for what reason? It didn't make any sense for me. In a country where everything is working, I knew God created me for a reason. And that's why I bought my ticket and come back to Nigeria. A lot of people said I was crazy. Till tomorrow, people are still saying you were crazy. But I came home because I wanted to fulfill purpose. Do you know, if I hadn't come back to this country, I probably wouldn't be standing here today. I'd probably just be lost in America, like many of our people. Get a nice job, 9 to 5, earn the basic salary, pay your rent, raise Funai-speaking children, and you're okay. And those in Nigeria will be admiring you. Then you know you're living just a basic life. But because I wanted to shine, I wanted to fulfill purpose, I came back to Nigeria. Now, let me tell you my Nigerian story. I'm not going to be here to tell you what most people tell you, that life is outside this country. Life is in Africa. And it's important for me to, that's my fourth story of the future. And I'll tell you and I'll come back to that. Because everything you are struggling to do, at the end of the day, somebody said it earlier, is to solve a problem. And where do we have the most problem? It's Africa. Africa is where the problems are. And this is where your money is. This is where the wealth is. And every problem that you solve and you create a solution, this is where the market is. I'll pause that for a second and I'll come back to that. So when I moved back home to Nigeria, it was really tough. I was depressed for the first 3 years. No job, nothing. In fact, I got sacked. I had one job like that for CMC Connect. And I was there speaking my Funai. After a while, the MD said, Auntie, you can't do this work. Get out. I was sacked. And I was depressed, suicidal for a year and a half. I didn't have a job. You know, when you leave Nigeria as a middle class person, and you go abroad, and I want to go back to Nigeria. You now enter the same Nigeria you left 10 years ago. It's different too. Because when you're middle class, you know, mommy is doing this, everybody, house girl is doing that. You come back, there's nothing. All the neighborhood that was very fine. The middle class area, where I grew up. And then I came back, all different shops, everybody has put their shops everywhere. There's barracks here, there's boss, everybody. I'm like, what happened to this peaceful neighborhood that I grew up in? Everyone has scattered. So reality check faced me. I got depressed because I didn't understand what was going on. But because I knew my assignment was in Nigeria, I stayed. And why did I think my assignment was in Nigeria? I told myself, one of the reasons why I came home, I realized that media was a tool for changing mind and thinking of people. When I was there in the US, Nigerians were watching Nigerian movies as if their life depended on it. And I'm thinking, this is media. And I knew that if I get into media, the only way I can change the minds of those who need help, the downfall drivers, those who are uneducated, they're the ones who I need to come and reorientate, the Nigerian people with certain mindsets. My job was to come and reorientate them, and that was my assignment, to come back home to reorientate. And that led me to how I started my TV program. I'll come to your view in a second. Now, how did I find myself into television? During that time when I was depressed, a year and a half, pure depression. I was suicidal. I wanted to kill myself because I just felt, why did I come home? I'm tired of this place, no job, nothing. And I got really close to God. I was praying, fasting, the whole works. And in my dream, I heard High TV. I didn't even know what High TV was. I just heard God tell me to go to High TV. And I'm thinking, what's High TV? But I just didn't pay attention. So a few days after, I went to church, and one of my friends in church was just saying, hi, Morayo, how are you doing? In fact, I just got a job at High TV. Oh, maybe you should try to apply. I said, sorry, which company? High TV. So I heard that company in my dream. Oh, that's the company God said I should go work. I said, and they're hiring. Oh, go and try. So, of course, I went home and said, High TV. Everybody said, the MD, I know him, he's my brother. You know me, from my family members now. He's my cousin. He's my aburo. He's my kinikon. So I gave all of them my CV. In fact, I sent my CV maybe 8 different people. I know we're in the same club now. I know the guy now. Your mini is my person. I gave all of them my CV. Not one got back to me. For months, I was waiting for them. Nobody. So I just got tired. But I knew that God wanted me to work at High TV. Anyways, so it was the last working day of the year. I can never forget 2008 or 2007. I think it was, December, it was the last working day, Sha. I had an interview at Insight Communications, right? And then I also knew that was the last working day, and I knew I wanted to work at High TV. So my appointment at Insight was 2 p.m. So in the morning, I woke up, I went to High TV. I got to the security guard, and I sat down there. I said, I have an appointment with your MD. He said, we're going to go and call the PA. PA came down and said, hello, ma, sorry, I don't have your name. They said that you have him. I said, Auntie, please sit down. I don't have an appointment, but I have prayed to God, and God said, this is where I'm supposed to be working. So all I want you to do is, this is my CV. Just put it on your MD's table. That's all I'm asking of you. Don't even say anything. Just put my CV on his table. And I trust that God will sort everything out. She looked at me. I was already teary, and I had a bit of an American accent. I had to add that small accent to it. So she now pitied me. This auntie that is spraying. Let me help her. She collected my CV and put it on the MD's table. And I left for my interview at Insight at 2 p.m. So I got in front of the interviewer, Mr. Tunde Ajayi, or some Mr. Ajayi. I got in front of him, and he was on the phone. He was not telling me I should give him 1 minute, that he's almost done. While he was on his phone, my own phone rang. Hello, hi, my name is Tony Subara, the MD of High TV. I just saw your CV, you are hired, you can start January 10th. And that's how I got my job. And yes, he deserves a clap. And then, so when Mr. Ajayi hung up the phone, so tell me, what's your name? Tell me about yourself. I said, you know what, sir? I don't need your job anymore. I just got my job. He said, really? So he said, where? I said, don't worry, you hear about me. Thank you. Sorry to bother you. And I stood up and I left. In my mind, I'm like, God help me. I hope they don't go and give me another story. But January, I resumed at High TV. Now, testimony is not even that. I'm giving you this background. You see, follow my story. Because the story is the foundation of how my show started to bring me to the point where people know me and they can invite me to this kind of place to come and speak. It's a foundation, I'm telling you. And I want you to follow the lessons one by one. So, I entered the office. That day, or my first day of resumption, I climbed up the staircase looking for HR. HR said, sorry, who are you? I said, the MD called me. Sorry, I'm not aware, please. I said, now sat down there. So now maybe they called somebody. She now came to me. I'm so sorry. Maybe Mr. Chuma will interview you. I'm not aware of this hiring, but no problem. Mr. Chuma will interview you. Mr. Chuma now interviewed me, called me to the boardroom. After interviewing me, he said, I'm sorry, there's no position available for you. I'm not aware. Okay, no problem. I carried my bag and I was going. As I was going down the staircase, the MD that hired me was walking up the staircase. Of course, me, I already known his face. I just went, oh, Mr. Subar. I said, yes, anyway. My name is Morayo. Oh, come, let's go, come, follow me. Hey, Margaret, please, hire her. She's going to be the next. That's how Auntie Margaret just gave me my letter. Now, she wasn't even sure, because even the man that hired me self wasn't even sure what he was hiring me for. He just hire her. So that one, because Margaret had the discretion to just hire her, she now puts me to be working in admin. Me that was press speaking, foreign, just go back, I just got back, that my English was still fresh. Now I'm very Nigerian. Then I was still fresh from the oven. She just gave me one admin work to be following, to be the admin. No problem, I took it like that. I wasn't happy, but I took the job. Then my job involved me going to supervise. At the time, we were in Yaba. The MD was trying to move the company to Victoria Island. Those of us, they were so used to Yaba, they didn't even think of VI was too far. That now VI is our island. Back then, I beg, VI can never go to VI. VI was VI. Yaba was very, very close. So she then said, okay, since the Kuku don't have job description for you, Auntie, that's VI office they want to open. Your job, you want me to be supervising the people there. The bricklayer, the carpenter, all of them, just be making sure whatever they need, just let us know, just be supervising. So my job, they took me from the main office to the place to be supervising the carpenters and bricklayers. Without my accent then, no problem. Unfortunately for Auntie Margaret, the MD was very interested in moving the company to VI was the future. He was evicting us totally to VI. So because he was very interested in VI, he was resuming there back to back. And guess who is there? Me. And guess every time, the MD will say, Morayo, let's go for lunch. Have you had lunch? Hey, let's go for lunch. Next day, hey, Morayo, how far was going? Oh, have you eaten? Let's stop us. So me and the MD started getting close because I was his PA-ish. Whenever he's in VI, he now started realizing, okay, he started understanding my strengths, what I can do. He will give me small assignments here. When God opened an opportunity where somebody now has resigned in Yaba office, Kia, said, give her, that boss that interviewed me that said that they didn't need me, he resigned. He said, give her Chuma's job, give her Chuma's car. I got his job and I got his car. And that's when I started working properly as a content creator. I was then into programs. That was my first exposure into television. I started doing that for years. We worked on that. That job took me to France. That job took me to different parts of the world. I was traveling with my CEO back then, and I was very diligent because I was learning. I missed an important story. Before that job came, there was a job I had before. There was a lady called Ima. Ima was somebody that was my boss. She just hated the fact that I came from the US. So she'll be telling me, anytime I come out in the morning, put your hands behind your back before you talk to me. When I greet her in the morning, she greets me ma'am. She's like maybe 1 year older than me. She call me ma'am. When you talk to me on the phone, she was really, really just oppressed by me somehow. So she forced me to be writing daily reports. Every day, at the end of the day, I'll write a report. What did I do? Tuesday, Wednesday, every day. On Friday, you now write a general report. What you did from Monday to Friday, every day. I did that consistently for about 2 or 3 years working with Emma. Now, I used to cry and was frustrated. Now, why is it only me she was forcing to do this? But guess what? That skill helped me when I entered High TV because it impressed my CEO that I could give reports. Every single meeting, I was writing reports. I was ensuring that everything was documented. And that's how we qualified me. When Chuma eventually resigned, they put me in charge because Chuma was in charge of a major project that needed proper leadership and documentation. And I was the perfect person for that. I now entered Chuma's job. I was traveling around. It was when I was traveling around the world that the director in TVC met me, saw my presentation, saw how I was doing all the Gogo everything. Oh, this guy is very good. And he just greeted me nicely. Fast forward, High TV crashed. He called the MD. That girl that followed you to Paris, to France, is she around? Please, we would like to hire her to TVC. And that's how I got my TVC job. Now, when I now got the TVC job, I told them, I have a show I want to do. Because I've been trying to be in front of the camera for a long time. My bosses never allowed me. But TVC then said, oh, sure, you're the director in charge of programs. Of course, go ahead. And that's how Your View was started. Now, the reason why I wanted you to see that story from when I was a depressed young girl, alone, traveled. You think that when I traveled, I'll be so happy and joyous. But that led me to become wayward. From being wayward, God pushed me, that accident forced me to find him. I found him, and I was able to find purpose, and I came back to Nigeria. Coming back to Nigeria, able to even got back into depression. And from there, I went close to God, and God got me to a job and moved me here. And the lessons I had to learn forcefully of diligence, integrity, so many other stories, but I don't have time for those ones. But then I got to Your View. Now, let me give you the story of Your View very quickly, and I'll be wrapping up with our future very soon. So, I got into High TV, into TVC, and that's how the dream of Your View started. Now, many of you want to be celebrities, Abi? You want to hammer, you want to be a star, you want to be known. Somebody was called earlier saying Beyonce, Kim Kardashian. I'm thinking, these people are not even thinking Nigerian at all. You're just all global, which is great. The world is a global village. But let me tell you something. The future, Africa is the next frontier. Don't be deceived by all that mass exodus right now. Those guys that are going, right? They are going because God has given them the opportunity to go, yes. They will get the expertise, yes. And many of them will eventually come back. They will come back. But what are they coming to? Are they coming to a place where you have already led and risen? Or are you coming to a place where they'll come and take over? It's two different things. So there are Nigerians that would leave, no doubt, nothing wrong in leaving. When you leave, you're always better off coming back, which is what I did. When you come back, are you coming to take over, or you're coming to stay underneath? Because there are lots of Nigerians who went abroad and are back, and they are still struggling in Nigeria. I know a lot of them. It's not everybody that travels abroad and come back and get a perfect job. Trust me. They are all in the job market, hoping for connection. And when they are frustrated, they go back. Because there, Ashiri is bow. I don't know how to say it in English. You can just do any work, you'll be okay. But here, this is where the market is. Only the best can survive in this country. Only the stars can survive in this country. Now, Your View was created for one reason. To get women. Because back then, 10 years ago, there were no TV shows where women were talking. Women were hosting shows. They were in charge of shows. We have the Fumi Yondas. We have the Adesonye Nikwe. They were hosting shows. But having women express, speak from their own view was not seen. They were just asking questions, but they were not telling us their own views. And that's why that show was created, to get women on the platform to start speaking. Today, there are plenty of shows on Nigerian television doing exactly the same thing. And I'm proud to be one of the ones that started that platform where women can express themselves. So I am happy that it's been duplicated and multiplied across, but fantastic. That's my vision. That more stations, more platforms can accommodate women to speak. But you see, the show did not start out by making us celebrities. There was a time we were winking in the dark. Nobody knew we existed. We were doing it on terrestrial TV. We're not on DSTV. The show, I wanted regular Nigerian women to have a platform to express. And I recruited women. I didn't recruit journalists. I didn't recruit celebrities. The only person that seemed like a celebrity was Abawaiki Yeni Kuti. And she came because she was a down-to-earth person. But I just brought in regular Nigerian women and put them on TV to start talking. And that was the concept of the show. As with years going by, people were saying, oh, go out there. Put yourself on magazines. You have to be out there. People want to see you. I said, no. There's a time and season for everything. I wanted us to grow organically. Because if we went out there putting ourselves on billboards, trying to be celebrities, would have fallen faster. But what we did, we stayed true to the concept of the show. We kept doing our show without trying to get out there. What that did for us, it gave us organic growth. People know us. Many of you probably know the show when you were much younger. People have known the show for years and it became a legacy show. It was deliberate. We did the work. We paid the time. Today, many people know, ladies of your view, they know us here and there. But even though today we have competition, trust me, I know we have competition. There was a time that nobody was doing this thing. Now, there are plenty shows, breakfast shows, everybody's doing different concepts. Oh, no problem. It's fine. I like the competition. But you see, what it has done, it has helped us to stay in the race. Because we did not try to focus on the frivolities in the beginning. We grew organically. That organic growth is what is helping us today to stand firm in the competition. And we're still working towards how we can also beat the competition. But definitely, your view has come of age. And we are definitely going to be redirecting some of our approaches going forward. But the point is, there's a time and season to sow. If you have a dream, now let me come to my fourth story. If you have a dream, what you need to do, the first thing you need to do about that dream is understand it. People always tell you different things. You have an idea, but the truth is that many of you don't understand the idea. Your idea that I want to have a restaurant. My parents were caterers. I grew up with food. I want to have a restaurant. But have you understood the art of catering? Have you understood your own ideation? The idea you have that you are birthing. Do you have a thorough understanding? I don't want us to gloss over that point. Because many people just think, I have an idea. But your idea must be uniquely yours. And that's what happened with your view. I was crystal clear on what your view was supposed to be. Your view was supposed to be have women, regular women, come and express themselves. People wanted to invite journalists. People begged me to add men. People begged me to add also. I said no. Sometimes they say, why don't you do the show like this? I said no. Sometimes they want us to become glam, because everybody likes glam. You have to look at them. I said no. That's not who we are. They couldn't push me left. They couldn't push me right. I stayed focused on what the show is about. And that's because I have a clear understanding of what my objectives are. So if you have an idea, first things first, be thorough in what it is. If it is your idea, you can have an idea to make clothes. Everybody's making clothes, but your own must be different. And you must understand what makes yours different. You must be clear. After understanding it, then, number 2, know who your audience is. Who needs my service? Who needs my idea? Who can I feed? Who can I serve? Who can I provide this for? Who can I teach? What is that thing? Who is that person that needs it? You see, when you have these understandings very clearly, but as you grow, it keeps you focused and it keeps your mind where it should be at all points. And that's what helped me with that show. For me, the future of my show, which is where I'm going to now, is to continually stir up conversations across generations. Because I have come to see that having conversations, giving women and even men a platform of expression helps us to learn from each other. That's why we're having things like this. Because we are learning from each other. You learn from my experience, I learn from your experience. Those conversations must begin to be directed into national development, into cultural heritage development. We need to continue to accept who we are. So that is the future of my show, where our conversations must be directed at encouraging these Nigerians to love and believe in Africa, to love and believe in Nigeria. Because many of us are being taught, in fact, your teachers are teaching us to export us. Many of us, even everywhere I go to now, everybody's talking about, so when you finally jackpot, or they're all talking about how you eventually would leave. Which is not bad. That's what most people are doing. But guys, Africa is the future. It's the next frontier. Forbes never used to look this way. Forbes never used to look the way of Africa. Now, they have a number of Africans who are being featured on Forbes. Africa is the engine room. It's becoming the engine room of education. Becoming the engine room of knowledge. Not really necessarily education. More of knowledge. The engine room. Nigerians who are doing well abroad, guess what? Many of them have their first degrees from Nigeria. Hello? Don't let them lie to you. Those who went from secondary school to America, they are entering the American system. It almost happened to me. One of my greatest regrets is that I didn't have my first degree in Nigeria, because what happens when you do your first degree in Nigeria, you know what happens? You get a network of Nigerians. You get a network of people who are doing well. My husband went to OAU. There's no way I enter. My husband knows somebody. There's no office I enter. OAU. They call themselves, they have this thing that they greet OAU people. Always great quarters, greatness, something. They're always greeting each other. Me, I enter, nobody knows. Aside from the fact I'm on TV. Before I became popular, nobody knew me. My own friends, they're in the US, scattered all over the world. Who knows you? But what it does is that it gets you a network. You can open any door. Somebody will know somebody that went to school, that knows somebody. You have connections. And as you grow older, connections are extremely important. Your network, your relationships, your friends. Because they are the ones, those who are doing well abroad, many of them, they have friends, the Oyimbos who are doing well abroad. They have friends, their uncles, they're all inserted somewhere. We are Africans, we go into their country, we don't know anybody. We are working our way up. But those who are doing very well, many of them did their first degrees here, went over there, did a few more courses, did their masters, and entered the system, and they are making real money. You know what helped them? The resilience of the Nigerian spirit. The fact that here, you get the education in the raw state. I remember the first time when they told me to go and do 2 examples in the US, when I went to biology test. I left Nigeria in SS1. I did my SS2. So they did a biology test. And they said we should, I think it was study ants or something like that. You know how Nigeria label the ant. You know, Nigeria now, we have studied the larvae, everything. When I got to the exam hall, they labeled everything. So I saw the full, so I think it was cockroach. So they were asking me, they now put two pictures of the cockroach and said I should click the right one. Me, I went to go and study labeling because that's what they taught me how to can label it. But they didn't want me to label. They wanted me to just look at the pictures. Which one doesn't have the right thing? Which one is the right cockroach? If you know the labeling, you will definitely know which one, what is extra. If it's an extra leg here, you would know. But I was just shocked at the system. So initially, when I got there, I was like, it was easy for me because I knew the labeling. The same thing happened when I was in university. I was doing an exam. So it was a law exam, Law 101. And I entered the exam hall. And I put my pencil. Everybody was bringing out their law books. You know, Nigeria, we are taught you cram it in your head. Put everything in your head. Enter. The examiner now came to me. Where's your law book? Says in the hostel. What is it in the hostel? You're supposed to use it for your exam. I didn't know. I put it in my head. No. They don't want you cramming. They want you to know where to find it. Don't go and cram the law in your head. Know how to find it. I had to go back out because in my head I'd already downloaded everything in my brain, But the systems are different. I can't remember how I got here. But the point is that the resilience you learn from Nigeria teaches you something that anywhere you go in the world, you excel. So I want you, one of the things I'm going to be wrapping up very soon. One of the things I want to leave you with is that as you are in the university today, many of you, your minds are already outside the country, I know. But I'm telling you that as your mind is outside the country, great. But your destination should always be back home. your destination should always be how to solve the problem in Africa. So you can learn all the business analytics, you can learn all the IT, all the AI, but how does it solve Africa's problem? You see, remember how when mobile phone came, people thought it was only for the rich. Now everybody, the security man, the Okada man, everybody has a telephone. It's technology. This is where the market is. Africa has the market. So whatever ideas you have, whatever solutions you are providing, always think of Africa. Think of the 200 million plus Nigerians who can buy your market. This is where the wealth is. So I don't want you to be one of those, I wish I was supposed to jackpot, my parents were supposed to school abroad. I know many of us have that mentality. Feel privileged. Because when I finally did my master's in Nigeria, I did my master's at Pan-Atlantic, guys, because I've done one in the US. I'm telling you, God is my witness. The one I did in Nigeria, it was close to home. I could understand they were speaking to Morayo. The one abroad, I did it because I was abroad. I did it, I passed it. But the ones in Nigeria, they were using examples like Biggie, examples like Indomie, brands I can relate with, things I can check in the newspapers, I can verify. I can do proper research. I can segment my audience for certain things. The masters here made sense to the market I am living in. It made a lot of sense. So I was just passing the one in the US, but the one I did in Nigeria was perfect. I use it today. Every day when I go to work, I reference my notes from my master's class. It's relevant. So feel privileged that you are here today. That you have it. Don't water down the impact of the network you have. You have a huge impact because you have a network of Nigerians together who are all going to be great in different ways. Keep that network. You will need them in life. You will need them as you grow. Understand that the future of the world is Africa. And you must begin to find solutions to help Africa to become great. That is the assignment. Because out there, you are competing with Japanese, Indian, Lebanese, Chinese, Hispanic. Everybody is competing for the same job you're looking for. But you have a better chance in Africa. But you cannot be a lizard here and be an alligator. What do they call it? You can only be a star in Nigeria, be a star there, and come back to be a star. So my advice to you, as we walk towards the future and taking the streets to Forbes, as many of you will be even bigger platforms in future, understand that your future is tied to the development of Africa. And we need more young people like you and I who are going through these rudiments of leadership to begin to identify the problems they can become solutions to. Thank you very much.